you.
I miss my door.
I see that.
And I see that we have a quorum in the live room and with Bernie and Joanne in the Zoom room. Yep, plenty of people for a quorum. Welcome,
Terrific.
everybody.
You wanna
So
go
the-
down the road?
So the first item is approval of the minutes of March 8th, 2024. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Renee makes the motion. Any second?
Joanne.
Okay, Joanne, any discussion? Any corrections required?
They look great.
Oh, boy. Wow,
Yeah, wonderful.
excellent. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, our minutes are approved. Item 3, correspondence.
Not that I can think of particularly, at least nothing that wouldn't be relevant to another agenda item.
Okay, that's typical. Number 4, citizens' comments. So there's none in the real room. Is there any in the Zoom room?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay, then item 5, committee business. A, Connecticut DECD Community Investment Fund Grant Application.
So we were unsuccessful again, and I got my executive summary back again, and again, reading it, you would expect as you read through their commentary that you would flip over the last page and say, congratulations, here your money, because I mean, it's universally positive. So I have a meeting, a Zoom meeting next week with Senator Gordon. I've already had a 15-minute one-on-one with DECD follow-up. When the next round opens up on April 29th, they'll open them up for half-hour one-on-ones. I'm going to resubmit again. I'm actually just going to keep asking for more money until they finally give it to me. Because I mean, it is a competitive grant process, and I understand that, but given the way they are responding to it, I do not understand why at the end it's not just like, here you go, here's your $3.8 million.
Is it the type of project, like
I
the
don't think so.
projects that are funded, are they like substantially different, like more exciting maybe than?
No,
Infrastructure.
and in fact, there are projects that were awarded that are each like a portion of what we're doing. So like Click Willimantic got a grant for incubator stuff.
What have been the award amounts?
If you give me a few seconds, I can go online and I'll tell you.
You know, maybe it's just a matter of, come on, you guys, you've gotten a lot of money from us. It's time to give someone else a chance for a few rounds here.
Well, I do think that was a factor the first time applied because we got the $500,000 grant for the track in that same time period. But they're giving multiple awards to some communities in the same rounds. Now, obviously, those are larger communities. Those are the Bridgeports, New Havens, Hartfords. But if their stated goal is to get this money out into the disadvantaged communities, we're pretty disadvantaged. I mean, not everybody qualifies even to apply. So let's see, somewhere here I can find the awardees.
So if those are the bigger communities, those awards have to be higher than what we were asking. I'm just kind of.
There's a range. There's a planning grant range, and that tops out at 250,000. And there are certainly a few of those. But yeah, there's multi-million-dollar
Okay,
projects.
I guess that's where I was going. You don't have to dig that. That was my question. It's like,
Well, it's
so if
sort
they're
of
only doing
interesting
little
to
pieces
see.
of the same thing we're doing, and we're doing, if they're bigger, maybe they don't want to fund that amount, but doesn't seem to be true.
No, I mean, I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
Can you get feedback from them?
Well, we do. We get an executive summary of what they consider to be the eligible activities.
And it sounds like in that summary, they are not really critiquing her application or the project
Right.
too much. So,
No, although in my first 15-minute one-on-one, I was starting to get a little salty because So I did the first application, got the executive
Could have
summary.
gotten a little sweet.
Well,
Just teasing, go ahead.
okay, so here's the funded projects. Planning grant toward Home Roots Resource Center in Bloomfield.
There's a big one, 3 million,
7 million,
7.
22 million to the city of Bridgeport.
Okay.
You know,
Is
so
that theory?
7 million, 5 million to Norwalk. Yeah, it's not the amount. I don't think
Okay.
that's the amount,
And
that's the
so
issue.
it's not the amount, that's the only thing I wanted to, like, is it the type of project? Do we take something out and put something else?
Well,
in
I
as one
asked
component?
that in the last one too. And that was not the feedback they gave me. So here's the thing that actually made me a little annoyed, when I had my first one-on-one with Yukshan, who is no longer working for Jim Bolano, but is one of the folks over at DECD. It's a staffer at DECD who does the executive summary and then passes it to the board. Now, I know, as well as everybody else who applies to these, that nobody reads these things in full. They're relying on the executive summary. So the first executive summary checked off more boxes than the second executive summary. But my second application responded,
Oh,
right? So it was obviously two different people who read it.
right.
And so I was in there saying, Yukshan, do you understand that if we can't be relying on the board members to read the applications, it is super important that the executive summaries themselves reflect what we're asking. I was, and I couldn't tell if she understood or not. It's like, well, it's not the staffer making the executive summary who makes the decision. I'm like, that is not at all the
It's
point.
influencing the
Right.
decision.
Right.
Yes, yes, I was out of my mind. So, and I do know that in that first round, May, Flexer had said that because they gave us the $500,000 steep grant, that might have been a factor that played into not giving us in that round. And I was fine with that. I'm like, fine, I'll gussy it up. I'll respond to the couple of points that they did make, and I did. And there's like nothing in this second executive summary that I can build on. So I'm gonna,
They don't give you an opportunity, I assume, to review their internal executive summary before they pass it on to the boards.
no, it's all after, of course.
Okay.
You know, and I can understand
I
that.
know,
That would
that
make a
is
lot more
interesting.
work for them, but
Right.
yeah, I mean, it'll be fine. Eventually, they're gonna give me this money. How soon? How far down the line? I don't know, but Renee was actually with me when I cornered Senator Gordon at that ribbon cutting for Superior Storage last week or the week before. And you know, he was very receptive. He did tell me in that he did flag it as one of his priority projects. So that's good to know, because that is one of the expectations. And that's one of the things also in the 15-minute, I said, look, there's a part of this process that's totally out of my control and untransparent to me, which is the expectation that our elected representatives lobby directly for the project, not just in letters of support. I don't know when they're supposed to do that, and I don't know how they're supposed to do that, and there's no way for me to find out if they did that unless I run into them and they mention it. So that is, like, I get the letters of support, that's not an issue. And now I have at least verbal confirmation from Senator Gordon, because I ran into him, that he did that. I wouldn't be surprised if May did it also, but I can't like get a hold of her easily
Out of
enough
your
to ask her.
control, that is-
Right.
Yes, yes, and not necessarily germane to the application.
I was
So
just thinking the same thing.
it's, eventually they'll give us the money.
Well, when you say you're gonna increase the amount, is it because of inflation, or you're thinking of some other like
No.
things that are appropriate to the grant
So
to throw
now
in?
we've got estimates for the landscaping at 65 Main, right? Every
We did
time,
have.
every time one piece comes into play that we didn't have before, I am adding it in there. And they're just gonna see this request go up and up and up until they give it to me. I am, yeah,
Well,
that was my rant for the morning on the CIF.
we
grant.
really
I-
appreciate your efforts, and I can see why you got salty instead of sweet.
And I really like Yukshan, so it's not like I'm going into a stranger and beating them over the head. You know, she and I know each other, at least casually, from when she worked for Jim Volano. So, you know, there is a level of comfort with them as individuals there. I wouldn't do that to a stranger.
That definitely is a legitimate beef if they have two different people writing executive summaries and the second one does not even acknowledge the efforts that were made after the first
Because
round.
they didn't look at the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a strange.
It has to be they have to assign, at the very least, they have to assign the same grants to the same reviewers.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's just random. You may as well be applying the first time.
Reading a document that's been corrected without the corrections shown.
right.
I was out of my mind. Anyway, moving on.
Right, anybody have any other comments, suggestions, rants? For the community investment grant?
Just, the next round will open on the 29th of April and I don't know when it'll be due, but the announcements will be made at the end of the fiscal year. Because they're doing 2 rounds a year.
Have we included photographs with that?
Oh.
Okay. Cause I'm like, we walked down Main Street the other day. It was like,
I have
I live on Main Street, but
hundreds
walking
of
it, it really
pages.
brings it to life.
Hundreds of pages, including an entire slide deck of photographs of
Maybe it's just, like,
existing.
too much. Have you ever thought of that?
No,
I know you never think of that, but that's a possibility.
no,
Just
well,
saying.
not with the photographs. I don't think
No,
that's the
no,
case
people
with the
can see
photographs.
those, yeah.
And I don't really expect them to read the hundreds of pages. At most, I expect them to look at the table of contents and maybe go to a section they might be interested in. At most. The point is not that they read it. The point is that they see that we have done the background work and are ready, right? I have absolutely no expectation that they're reading it. But some of the points that I reference in the application, which has strict character limits, I say, you can see this information on this document. So
It's
it's,
getting a little summary and then they.
yes.
Tara, is it obvious in this second submission or subsequent submission, submission, that the grant has been submitted previously?
Yes. Yes, because when you submit, and you're unsuccessful, you get the executive summary. When you resubmit, there is a question that only applies to people who have applied previously, which is, were you able to address deficiency, however they phrase it? And then you tell them how you did that. So
Okay, yep.
it's
that's what I was wondering.
100% clear when you're a returning applicant.
Yep, okay. And that you have addressed the deficiency.
Oh, yes.
issues. Yep.
Yep.
good. Okay, thank you.
It'll be a little trickier this time because it sounds like there's not deficiency.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a part of my conversation
Yeah.
and the 30-minute one-on-ones with the deputy commissioner. Or is that what she is? I can't remember what her title is, but she's a new person, and she is actually another person that I've had some interaction with and whom I like. In fact, I've got a call with her about something else today, the playground grant, but it is what it is. I'm just gonna keep doing it. What else am I gonna do?
You go,
That
girl.
has paid off for you.
I know, you go. All right, then, I guess we can move on to item B, 65 Main Street workshops.
Next workshop is not on a Wednesday night, it's on the 5th Monday, which is the 29th of April, because nobody from the school was available, and it's when we're moving into the education unit, so. Yeah, so Monday, the 29th, here and on Zoom, as we've been, and we're gonna start talking about that. Like, what does it mean to create a career pathway? Because, you know, I'm out of my bailiwick on this. The facility, the ideas and concepts I can generate all day, but I need to know what they need to know. You know, what kind of resources we need to pull in. And I have a meeting today with Melinda at 2:15. It's gonna be one of those days. to go over that, like how she wants to set up these next two of the next 3 months. In June, which will be the end of the education unit, Jocelyn and Amanda from RCMD and I are going to arrange for 3 guest speakers, one from Willimantic Click, one from another business incubator that I wasn't familiar with, and there was somebody else, maybe a startup farmer, to come and talk about how these facilities do work across the state.
That's cool.
That'll be interesting.
So that's going to be one that we'll promote a lot as well, once we have the schedule
That
of
would be great
speakers.
even for folks to just to.
Oh, yeah, we'll move that from here back over to the library. We'll do stuff with it. Interestingly, and this is tangential, but relevant enough, in the interviews that we had the other night for the Combined Wetlands Conservation Agent, one of the interviewees said, "Oh, I've been following in the Villager the stuff on 65 Main." So this is my public meeting. Thank you to Jason Blow for being so into this project, because I haven't sent him those. He has solicited that
Excellent.
that information for me, and he's been really interested in following it. So, and I'm using each of those. I'm, adding it into my rolling summary for the grant reporting. Last week or the week before was the quarterly UAIP grant recipients con call, so there's like 100 people on it. They've got tons of people who have received this grant across the country. And I did a 5-minute presentation on our progress. So I'm setting the stage there for if we haven't found another source for the landscape implementation by that point, reapplying to that program for implementation. That's a $300,000 maximum award with no match requirement. So, getting that, it's showing again that we have all this background work done. Here's the public engagement. Here's what we got from the consultant. Here are our nearly shovel-ready plans. I'll backtrack in a second. Give us $300,000. I think we're well set up for that. I don't know if that's a natural flow for this program, but it seems like a natural flow when you read the grant documents. So we'll see how that goes. But so the other piece of that about being shovel ready, John Guskowski's company has been a named partner. They haven't billed me for anything, and we're already halfway through. So I'm probably going to have $15,000 available to make site documents, actual shovel-ready construction. And so I want to talk to you about like how we want to go about that process. Because I am going to have extra funds at the end of this that I can put towards planning activities, and design isn't exactly planning, but it's close enough for me. That's
It's
where we are.
advanced planning. What do you think?
It is highly advanced planning. Yeah. Yeah, I don't expect that I'll have a problem with that either. I mean, the award's the award,
Right.
and they want to see things succeed, but I'll talk to my contact at USDA is super accessible. His name is Jose Jimenez. He lives in Puerto Rico, and he's just a super friendly guy, wicked enthusiastic about everything, and has been very helpful in saying, yeah, we just want this money used. So I don't think that'll be a problem.
Great. Anybody have any other questions? I know a lot of people have been going to the meetings from this committee. Okay, then I guess we can see if there's anything new on our list of
Oh,
ongoing.
I'm sorry. Let me backtrack
Okay,
to the renovation part.
Okay.
Brian Santos arranged for an in-kind donation of repair work on the foundation. They've been there all week. They were supposed to finish up today. I don't know. They said they would work rain or shine. I don't know if that means monsoon level rain or shine. But Renee and I stopped by there Monday and Tuesday this week and took some pictures. So they had a vacuum truck come out and suck up all the dirt around the foundation, and they're pouring a new concrete so that the wood won't be sitting on bare ground. Santos and his son did some framing work or are gonna come back and do some more framing work. So that Jackson can fulfill his community service requirements. And then we have about enough money left in the grant to paint. Historical Society has given us their ideas on colors. They've also said they really care. So whatever,
Exterior,
exterior paint. And then the gutters are still a part of the roof contract. So once the painting is done, the gutter guys will come back. We do need some siding work, some siding repair done. Now there's more siding repair either evident or that has become necessary since the abatement work was done. So I gotta try to get in touch with Dave Eddy and see if I can get him to do a little repair of the clapboards.
And you didn't mention what that dollar value is for that in kind.
Oh yeah, it's a $32,000 value donation.
wow.
So, and that will also go into my grant documentation, including the CIF grant, because they want to see that you're leveraging, even though there's no match requirement. They want to see that you're invested, so,
So when you say it's an in-kind contribution, you mean Santos himself is doing it?
no, Santos has colleagues
Okay,
who do sub work for him
Okay.
in his huge construction projects. And,
so he asked them to,
he
Pick up
asked
a-
them and, yep.
and they agreed, nice.
So that should be everything on 65.
That was good. So now I guess we can go on to ongoing committee business, and there may not have been, so basically we leave it up to you, Tira. If nothing has happened on one of them, we don't need to discuss it. So why don't you just update us if,
Well, I'm not looking at the agenda, so just tell
okay,
me what
well, we
order.
have first, we have River Mill, 630 Riverside Drive, Main Street reconstruction, Blaine Road intersection, and Swanson Park.
Okay, so River Mills first, we are still in the same holding pattern now that's been imposed on us by this DOL nonsense. We did get a formal extension through the end of this fiscal year meeting, June 30th, to finalize the contracts. Now, if we can't resolve this issue with DOL, I don't know how much that now 3-month extension really does for us, but everybody at every level is aware of this problem. It's another thing I bent Senator Gordon's ear about.
He's gonna arrange for meetings on that.
He's gonna try to, yeah. I've said, wind me up and let me go. Sit me in the governor's office. He's not up for re-election. If people are worried about it because of, election years and crossing swords with labor, he's in a perfect position. And it's counterproductive. If every developer who has received one of these grants says, thanks, no thanks, the properties don't get redeveloped and nobody gets a job. It's so dumb. But we do have the extension. I saw Pam at a Brownfields networking thing in Newtown last Friday. They are talking now with the middleman, who's really the guy pulling the strings on the ownership level at this point. It sounds like they're coming to some kind of, I don't know.
You mean to get Andy Scott to sign it? Because he still hasn't, are we still waiting for him to sign something?
Yes, and he said he'll do it, and Now, at some point, we had talked to DECD's lawyers last fall and said, we might not be able to get this guy to sign, not because he doesn't want to, but because we can't get him to sign. He's already tried to donate the properties. Surely we must be able to waive this requirement in this case because of the specific circumstances. They seemed open to it at the time, but then it seemed like he was going to sign, so we backed off that. I may have to go back to that. But again, with the labor thing, I don't know. That's where we
Yeah, I mean, oh, that's so infuriating. I mean, what if it kills the project?
not just our project, Belding and Putnam, maybe not the Gumpert's one in Vernon Rockville, but there are dozens of these
My
across
question
the
is,
state.
and maybe it has, but have your mayors and first selectmen and planners and community developers come together to lack of a better word, form some sort of coalition that can put pressure on as a group?
There are groups doing it, the main one being the Brownfield Working Group, which is, you know, council from Halloran and Sage and people from the land banks and, you know, people have been working in this sphere and they are reasonably influential, but they're mostly influential with DECD. The real problem here is that nobody is really influential on labor. Labor is a very powerful department. The statutes are written in ways that give them wide discretion. So it's really getting them not to exercise their legal discretion. So, you know, we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic that this will get resolved because it would be so catastrophic if they didn't. If they don't resolve it, they may as well mothball that program because nobody will ever redevelop another brownfield. Nobody will.
Yeah, and like you said, the 3-month extension,
Well, it was a 6-month extension technically, but
Okay.
yeah, it's effectively 3 months now.
Well,
We'll
Might keep
we'll
us
get
up.
it resolved. We'll get
and keep us updated on that,
it. What was next?
because 630 Riverside Drive.
Had a meeting yesterday with a broker and a developer. So now that we've transferred the lien on Riverside Drive and we know how it works and we didn't get any substantive resistance to that. I guarantee you we would get no resistance from doing a similar thing on 630, given its history and its condition and the fact that even after the tower collapsed and we served the come take down the smokestack notice to the owner and I don't think we'll get any trouble there. So I met with a commercial real estate guy and a developer from Massachusetts yesterday. The developer does have other projects in Connecticut and is familiar with all sort of those pesky things like Transfer Act and clearly a competent developer. He is at least tentatively interested in doing a dual purpose development there on the developable portion of townhouse condos, sort of on the river side, and some kind of commercial plaza in front for, you know, restaurant, shops, offices, whatever. That's a very casual conversation. I followed up to him, you know, I emailed him the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I put him in touch with Wayne. I sent him the zoning regulations. I sent him the copy of the VAD ordinance. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I have started to rumble increasingly loudly that, yeah, if you are a developer and you've been scared off by this because of A, B, and C, we've got the VAD, we're willing to transfer the lien, you know, in exchange essentially for paying the back taxes. Because unlike the River Mill, where the back taxes are like $300,000 or whatever, they're less than $100,000 over here. Certainly more than the last time I checked, but you know, they're probably 50 to 60,000 tops. For a 33-acre parcel, 11 of which is developable, that would be a no-brainer. You can't even get a single house for that, right? So we'll see. I am again optimistic that now that we've done some of these things, we'll be able to replicate the process and get that moving. I just want that done before I die, which seems like a reasonable goal.
Yeah, because I also do wonder, like, what the shelf life with the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
I'm sure they need to be refreshed. But that's obviously a better question for Wayne than for me, how complicated it is to do that refresh. Like the areas of concern probably haven't changed,
Right.
but has stuff migrated.
Well, or have regulations
Or-
changed, so whatever the threshold
yes.
numbers were, whatever, 6 years ago.
That never
whatever.
happens.
And it always goes in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
So that's my update on 630. I'm pushing to get somebody to come in and invest in
Good.
that.
So then the next is Main Street reconstruction, but I guess that's kind of under the
Yeah, that's.
community investment grant. Then we have Blaine Road intersection.
ECCD will be back in May.
Okay,
And speaking of things that I might toss into the next CIF grant, since they're only doing the north side. Sure, I'll toss in some money to do the south side. Why not?
why not?
I'm just gonna keep doing it. But yeah, they're definitely coming in. Oh, and speaking of ECCD, one more thing about 65 Main, Maura Roby did submit an application to the Kubota Hometown Pride. It's not really a grant, it's more like a contest. 2 days ago, Wednesday. Yeah, the deadline was Wednesday. So we wrote it up. We've identified that portion in the landscaping where we think we can get either $10,000 or $50,000 worth of work. They will make their announcements of finalists, 2 for each of their 10 regions on August 1st. I will be on vacation, but I will be sure to check. And then there are 2 weeks of public voting. So once you're a finalist, you definitely get an award. You either get the 50 or the 10. So they determine who gets the 50 or the 10 based on a public voting process.
Interesting.
So first threshold is being a finalist, and that's just based on the merits of your application. They don't even ask for a budget. It is clearly unrestricted funds given to a 501c3, which is ECCD. I mean, we have a good proposal. We can even tie it to Kubota, which is a question on the application because the Trails Committee has a Kubota. So we sent a little
All
photo
right.
collage of the Kubota in action and a community day. And
Cool.
so we'll see. That might be an opportunity to get some work on the ground there.
Is the 10 regions the whole country or like?
So yeah, because
The
it's
whole entire country, okay.
right. So it's 10 regions across the country. So it's New England, obviously. It's probably New England down to like Pennsylvania, I think is probably one region, maybe down to just New Jersey.
And they awarded 2.
Right. They take 2 finalists from their entire pool
For each.
for that region.
Do
So
you have an idea of how many submissions they get? Just curious.
no, and I don't think there's anything like that on. You can go back, like anything else, you can go back and look at past projects, and we're right in that wheelhouse. So
I like the trails angle too.
yeah, we've got a good story to tell. The American Chestnut Foundation is back on board, you know, saying that they'll donate seed stock for that portion of the project and some, you know, a certain amount of deer fencing and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, we've got a lot that we can say to people. And I keep forgetting that I myself applied to the Lowe's Foundation for more rental money. I think they announced those at the end of June to maybe as late as August, but you know, and that was a very simple submission. So I'm continually throwing applications out there as they come up, particularly simple ones like these ones. Anyway, so that was really a Blaine Road intersection. ECCD will be back.
And I know we did have in our minutes from last month that Public Works will seed the topsoil around the edges before it turns into a weed-filled disaster. So we should just keep an eye on that, and in case we have to send any gentle reminders.
Yeah, I would expect that reminders will be needed.
Okay.
I mean, it's, you know,
Probably
we've been
next
in,
month.
we've been in budget season and stuff, so
Right.
that's been everybody's top of mind.
It's
So
too early and too muddy.
Yeah.
But like next month, we should probably, and you know, 'cause
Talk
otherwise,
to them this month and get on their schedule for next month.
okay,
also ECCD being out there would be a good visual prompt too, like,
Okay.
hey, see these guys doing this work on our behalf. Now might be a good time to do that other half.
okay. Let me make a note, maybe I'll just send Amy and Joe an email. Does that sound appropriate?
Yeah.
Just gentle.
Yeah, just gentle, just say, hey, at our meeting, we were reviewing the minutes and we just want to make sure this doesn't get forgotten next month.
Joe
Yeah.
is out, or will be out at 10 o'clock this morning, with DOT and, at least one member of the Trails Committee to look at those washout spots.
Oh, nice.
Because we had some very dramatic photos of the damage there. First of all, they ran that Natchog Epic thing, and
They had to hold it up.
yeah, John Kaczynskis, who's on the Trails Committee, went out a little later, stood in the washout and took a picture looking up. That's how bad it is. So, and the town got a not very favorable review on one of the online forums about the airline trail. So I pushed that up the food chain to DEEP and DOT and actually the Office of Tourism, because they're so invested in outdoor recreation, and the new director of tourism is a good friend. So that resulted almost immediately in DOT saying, we'll go out and take a look. And they're there today because it's raining. So.
All right.
Can you remind me where we stand on the Veterans Park?
Yeah, that's the next thing on the list.
Oh, is it?
We stand
Agenda.
we stand nowhere because that was a part of my CIF grant. So,
Okay,
I mean, at some point we may want to say, do we want to pursue this in another way? I think that's the best option. I did say the first time I got the first time we were turned down, I did ask directly, would this be a stronger application if I took out the parks? You said, no, not particularly. So I don't think
there's another avenue for that park particularly.
there might be, and we've talked about it. We've talked about crowdfunding and some of the foundation grants from the local banks and all that. Now, our estimate for that, when all the pieces have been put together, it comes out to about 150, 180,000 for soup to nuts, the whole thing.
Can I suggest, and I know you and I have talked about it, Putnam is redoing theirs.
Yeah.
Touching base with them, see, what's their plan, where is their funding from, just to,
You did mention that the other day, and
it looks like they're doing a fabulous job, and I understand, like Ellis, it's gonna be a lot of lighting, Ellis is out there doing the electrical.
Well, maybe that's who it was. I drove by there yesterday, and in the drizzle in the late afternoon, there was like 15 workers on that site. I was
Yeah.
like, who are these people? But maybe I didn't look to see if they were young. Maybe it was students.
Ellis Tech is working there.
Okay, good.
It's a great idea to get the trade school involved in that project.
So who would know? Would it be?
Mary Ann would
Mary Ann?
probably know.
Okay.
They started, well, it probably was in the works before her, but she must have the information.
Probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Oh,
too
you-
surprised. I wouldn't be too surprised if that funding is coming from their economic development agency, which is private funding. But it's worth asking because I don't know.
Economic development.
You could ask the rec department too in Putnam.
Agency.
They have something that's not a commission, which is what
Oh,
Delta
so
actually,
the budget is through the town, you mean,
uh,
or a combination?
I don't really know if it's a fully public entity or not.
Okay,
It's different than an economic development commission. They have a budget, like a real budget. And I don't know,
the town budget?
I don't know where it
Oh, okay.
comes from. I think some of it is fees from events and memberships, but I don't know if it's also partly public. Yeah,
It's a weird, you're not sure what it is.
yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what it is.
Right.
Anything else? And we have our last item is other new committee business.
With all the, EC,
Oh, yes. So EDC, this year is, we've just hired a marketing consultant, DKA Dornenberg and Callenbach Associates. They're based in the western part of the state, but Todd Callenbach came out and he and Renee and I did a walking tour of the downtown, and then he and I sort of drove up both ends of Route 12 and 131. The goal is to create a replicable marketing campaign for our developable areas. Because we've done the branding and we've done some of the back of house stuff, but now I think the EDC has advanced to the point where they are ready to do that piece of the work as opposed to be just project oriented. I was very pleased with the questions that he was asking. He's going to come into the EDC meeting to do sort of an initial launch of the campaign and get some first feedback. That's this coming Wednesday. Any of you, of course, are welcome to dial in. Those are Zoom only. You know, at the end, I think it's a 4-month contract. He's going to sort of present this marketing campaign with how it gets implemented. Now, what he and I discussed and what I'm going to have to discuss more with the commission is that I think they are going to need to transition, again, that thought process from being project oriented to their ongoing costs are going to be the maintenance of this campaign, because there are probably some things we can do locally, but we do not have expertise. We don't have good capacity. You know, so part of his deliverable is going to be him telling me what would it cost to continue this in an implementation standpoint.
Part of the, interesting conversation was the history of what Main Street looked like when there were stores. And I mean, I remembered in the 70s and it was already had been pretty run down, but prior to that, it was a pretty thriving area. So he was interested in seeing, you know, either photos from Historical Society or something like that, and mentioned potentially a rendering of what it could be again.
Yeah. Artist's rendering.
Yeah.
So I know I'm not exactly sure, like, what is a marketing campaign? Is it going to result in like print ads, website development, outreach to realtors, or like, what is
He's gonna
it?
give us the plan to do that, right?
Yes, the plan to do that. And as a part of that, I'm going to ask him what it is to job that out. Like, what would we anticipate the cost? So my best way I can describe this is from my work on the ERTD, right? So I'm on the marketing campaign there, and we have a marketing partner, and the ERTD gives them money, and they go off and they do influencer videos on our behalf, and they do SEO work, and they place Facebook ads, and they
What's SEO?
search engine optimization. So how do you get your
Right,
asset to bubble to the top of a search?
right.
You know, so, and they're doing all their work in the digital sphere. Brochures are something that the district does produce, especially for things like the Big E, but that's not their major investment, and that's not where they're getting their return on investment at all. You know, because it's not my area of expertise, some of the stuff I kind of gloss over, but I can tell you that the graphs go up and up and up, and they're talking about millions of clicks. Now, this is the Connecticut Office of Tourism. We're not going to get millions of clicks. That's not even really our goal. But to get the information that we have into the hands or in front of the eyes of the people that we want to have it. So commercial developers, real estate, investors, right? Because all the things that we say are our assets, we have been saying to each other.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right? We need to say them to people who are not us.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter if I know that I can build a small business on a 4,500 square foot lot in this neighborhood. I'm not in the market to do that, but somebody out there who doesn't interact with us regularly does. And that's what we need to capture. And that's going to be done digitally.
Yeah.
So-
We can get the mill renovated and everybody can see that there.
Yes,
that-
well, that's a big piece of it.
Well, I will say that I have a client who's looking at that little vacant lot, like a at the corner of.
I know
what is that
exactly
street?
which
Yeah, near,
client it is, yeah.
a little lot across from the library. What is that? School Street? Wait,
School
what's the name?
Street.
Yeah, so of doing something similar to what you're talking about, you know, bringing a business and new growth to Main Street, basically. Yeah, the address of the property is Main Street, 12 Main, I think
Yeah,
it's
I
12
think
Main
that's-
Street. So there's one person, one
Well,
local.
And
local
interestingly,
developer.
Neil is doing infill development. He's expanded on the property that he's doing.
Right,
Now that's a
right.
larger footprint. You know, and that's one of the sort of the ongoing battle that I have on the zoning side with people who still believe that 4,500 square feet is too small, or that we're trying to turn the place into Worcester. That ongoing debate about how if you develop your developable corridors, you can keep people from cutting up the land as you go further out, right, if you're smart about it. It is an exhausting struggle, but you know, you just have to keep sort of repeating and repeating and repeating.
Yeah, and I don't think he's necessarily made up his mind exactly what he wants to do there, but I think it might be a combination of commercial and residential, a little small building.
Yeah, yeah.
Vital new construction in the neighborhood.
Mhm, mhm. I'd love to see your nephew, you get somebody to take that lot of his next to Dollar General. That's a buildable lot now. And it's a perfect location for a small neighborhood scale business. It's already got a parking lot attached to it. I mean, it's Dollar General's lot, but that could probably be negotiated.
And somebody was just chatting yesterday, not that he's an investor or anything, but he was talking about the mill that's already there, you know, the mill building that's right near Ricky's place. How cool that would be if that was.
Yeah.
open.
It would
It
be.
is a neat
As
building.
far as I know, it is not tax delinquent and it is being actively
is,
used
I
for
think.
storage. Is it?
Yes, appeal it has right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, the things about it that the things about the other properties that make them developable, I don't believe are in play there at this point.
Right.
You never know
No,
what's
I
gonna
wasn't even
change.
Suggesting that.
Yeah, but there are definitely developable parcels and people don't understand it because you can only see what you see, right? In general, people who aren't in the business of envisioning the future have a hard time picturing what change could look like. But, you know, Northeast Sand and Gravel, although there are problems with that property, which are not relevant to go into here, it's a huge parcel that's been gravelled and is now developable and has tremendous amount of potential. You know, we've got those. People think there's nothing developable left. That is not true. Even in this corridor where we have the
So
utility
that being
capacity.
said, part of this campaign, you know, the new campaign, will that be identifying?
I think that should be one of the goals. Now, one of the things that we've discussed in the past
That should be
many
front center.
times in EDC is like having some kind of page where, you know, we're featuring developable parcels, but it got to a capacity thing, like who's going to maintain it, who's going to do it, how do we turn it over? And it's just never gone anywhere. But so maybe that is a part of this. I did just
Like you said, if they're
register.
unaware, I mean,
Right.
I did just register 630 Riverside with Advanced CT, or I pre-applied to Advanced CT to put 630 Riverside on their website as an investment ready
nice.
parcel, which is apparently a thing that they're offering. I have no idea how long they've been offering. I just became aware of it this week. You know, they screen it and see if it really applies. I can't imagine that it wouldn't. So.
Are we on other business?
Yeah, pretty much. We're up to member comments. It's a
Okay,
free
so
for
we're
all
at
now.
Main Street's supposed to be mid-May, opening the one that's near the funeral home.
Wait,
The
would you say the
brewery that's-
brewery? Oh, it's opening in mid-May?
Mid-May.
Cool.
She was in the other day. So in the building where Jill's place was, same spot, same space. Yep. It seems like they've done their homework. She's been working at
Taylor Brook,
Taylor Brook. And
I'm sorry, what's going in there?
a little brewery.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and she's been working at Taylor Brook just to like learn the ropes, and it's I was impressed when she came the other day, so I'm hoping.
Yeah, see, what about St. Joseph's too? What about
I
that?
haven't heard from him in a while. Now, he unprompted reached out to me. I don't know, I want to say it was December or January, just to say, hey, don't worry, we're still working on it. I think they were finalizing some interior construction documents at that point. Now I haven't seen anything over there, but I mean, they've bought it. They
That's what I was
own
gonna
it.
say, they didn't buy it, no.
And they are experienced developers. So I'm not like super concerned about it. The last time he did speak to me, he said they were still more or less on track. I mean, that was gonna open the end of this year. If it opens first quarter next year, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over that. It would be nice to see activity.
Yeah, it would be nice to see
Um,
activity.
But I don't have any lack of confidence that they're on their own pace and schedule and they'll,
Yeah, because the storage place went pretty fast. I mean, they kind of,
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's different burdens there too. I mean, if they're, I'm sure they had plenty of abatement over at St. Joseph's School to make it ready to
Oh,
be
yeah.
residences. It's not the same burden when you're doing self-storage.
I guess.
So just a different animal. It was a nice ribbon cutting, Renee.
That was really, really nice.
Really well attended.
Well attended, it's beautiful in there. He did a wall of honor for the posters, so old pictures. Yeah, it was really, really well. Posters were there, good turnout. Oh, that's what I wanted to mention earlier. And I meant to make a note that brings it back. I'm happy to see that Northeast, what is it called? The Northeast.
Oh, the Northeast Chamber.
Of Commerce, who's, haven't been super active in this area, have new leadership, and they are involved. They spearheaded this ribbon cutting. There was a woman there who had been working there for 3 years, and she said, I've been sitting at a desk for 3 years, so now she's out in the communities, and I'm excited to see that. I was thrilled that they were here in Thompson. It's just, I think, a great resource that we really haven't tapped into, not just because of circumstances, I would say.
Yeah,
but
well,
I'm excited about that piece. I think that's fantastic.
yeah, I like Elle. She's the new executive director and she has a learning curve there too. But she's definitely enthusiastic. So Shelley, who is the woman who is the owner of the new brewery, also wants to do a ribbon cutting when they open. So, I'm gonna have a conversation with her about, joining the chamber, joining the Thompson Business Association,
Right.
because these are the organizations that actually do those things. I mean, we did the one at Milltown Grill as an EDC TVA partnership, but we did that specifically because of our role in the sidewalks. It's really more those business advocacy.
I see why though
organizations.
that shouldn't be still a BBC can't be involved as one of the players in those. I think, I don't know, I just think that
At a meeting, I'll call you
they certainly could be involved with the chamber and the TVA.
Well, they certainly should be aware of it and have a presence there, absolutely. Now going back to the constant discussion about budgets, it's not like we have added into our budget year on year pool of funds for business events. So
That, but I don't know that that like has to be dollars. I mean, you can bring other stuff to the table, like we can, your expertise, like. You were left kind of out of the loop on that last one, so now filling her in and that you're an instrumental part of, economic development in North Riverdale and Thompson.
she has my right email now, at
She
least.
knows now. So I think that's invaluable. I just love that partnership. Let's not be left out. Let's be at the table,
Yeah, no,
whether we bring dollars or not. We bring dollars in other ways, for sure.
this is true. This is true. Yeah, so I know Shelley wants to sit down and talk about that, so we'll probably do that, I don't know, in the next week or two.
It's exciting.
See what she wants to do exactly, and then we can work on it. You know, and another one, I ran into, is it Sarah Eddy? The,
Jonathan and
well,
the new
his
Boston.
wife, yeah, is it Sarah, I think might be her name.
Could be.
Anyway, so they also wanted, and they're working through the chamber, right? I wouldn't have known anything about that if I hadn't run into her there.
Well,
So
okay.
again, I told her, you
So
know,
that
keep me in the
will-
loop, let me know what you're
They-
doing.
Did they open that store?
They're at least partly open and
They
they want to
did.
do like an
Oh,
open
that
house
was
thing.
really.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Lots of things happening, different parts of town.
Right.
Yep.
Does anybody in the Zoom room have any member comments?
No, not now.
Kara, I sent you a link to, a website I stumbled on that had a few Main Street, North Grosvenor photos, turn of the century sort of stuff.
Oh, very good.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Bernie.
Anybody have anything else on this fine rainy day?
When it stops raining, they can go out and clean the road.
That's true. Good point. All right, then I guess we can be.
No, Renee's got more to say. Look at her.
Well, I'm thinking Norm, I'm thinking cleanup, I'm thinking cemeteries.
Yes,
Part of this whole loop. We have the cemetery across from the library, that wall that's crumbling. I just don't, I think that should certainly be a town piece of.
Is that a
that's
public or
town.
private? Yeah, 'cause I don't know which ones are public and
I
which ones
just,
are
I think
private.
it should be on somebody's list as we're redeveloping this area, like. That wall has to be redone, that retaining wall is cracked, it looks crappy.
Well, if somebody can get me an estimate, I'll add it to my next CIF grant.
Well, you could talk to the masons that are working at 65 to give us a quote.
They're
On
not.
that.
They're not masons.
They're not.
No,
Just
they're,
foundation.
they're earth
Concrete
workers
guys.
and concrete guys, yeah.
Guys that earth workers wouldn't do a retaining wall or.
Masonry is different.
Yeah, because it's a special craft. I mean, yeah, you might need the excavator to remove the old one and open up the hillside, but putting together dry stone is not something that concrete guys or
That's
excavators
stone.
would do. Wait, which one are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about the cemetery across from.
It's a concrete retaining wall, not a stone retaining wall?
Concrete.
Yeah,
I thought you-
I think we were both assuming that it was the stacked stone.
No, you know, the one
Retain.
behind the cemetery by the little. So you've got Carriage Square, the old.
Right.
Center, and then there's, I thought, unless that's just covered with concrete, like it's stone that's been. Gone over with concrete, could be, but it's
Oh,
definitely
okay.
concrete.
Okay, all right, so
Alright.
yeah, I think we were both thinking that was a stacked stone wall, so.
The other thing is we do, and if it ends up being stone behind that, we certainly have like the Hibbards, like Jared Hibbard in the area that we could. You know,
That-
set up.
That particular project would be one I would be more inclined to get a local,
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree. I
because these
agree.
these guys would be top dollar, so it wouldn't actually be a very helpful estimate.
Yeah, I'll try and look at it. Cause I mean, one of the less expensive ways to fix a smaller retaining wall is to get those, precast concrete blocks that would kind of look like real stone to come in all different sizes, from the small, which I don't really favor the small as much, but they have much bigger ones, 2 feet by 3 feet, and you don't need a lot of engineering or anything, because just the massive weight of each one block, if it's
I
not.
think it's a
not
project, I
very
mean, it's just, something that the town.
I'm
could
willing to
own.
throw it
And
in.
that and excavated,
I mean, I would be willing to contact Hibbard if once we know what it is, I know there's concrete on the outside, whether there's stone underneath, I don't know.
Okay,
We'll go take a look at it. Hit it with a hammer and see if it sounds hollow. Really, that is a good way to tell if there's stone behind it,
Well, it's probably
It does.
wide enough cracks to see.
Right, that's right. Stick your fingernail underneath.
if you're gonna fix a stone wall, you gotta do a little work on the cemetery.
Absolutely, that too.
So this year,
There's
I
a-
think is, last year was an off year. I think this year is a year for that, that grant through OPM for neglected cemetery. Although that's a town-owned one, so it wouldn't apply. Right? It's every other,
Conservation Commission is big into the cemeteries, as Norma well knows.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
um,
We should
Right.
definitely pull
They're
them
the
in.
ones to talk, they're the ones to talk to.
yes, and it has been, it has been the conservation agent who has submitted that biannual grant for neglected cemetery maintenance, but I
Yeah.
don't think the public cemetery is eligible for that. I think it's only orphan cemeteries. But hopefully we will soon have a new wetlands and conservation agent and we can take the time to explore that at that point.
No,
That was my next question. I'd heard rumors.
We had
Something,
We had interviews Wednesday night. We interviewed 4 candidates, 3 of whom were feasible. And Amy and Michelle from HR and the 2 commission chairs and I are supposed to have a Zoom call late this afternoon, like 3:30 to 4:30 to discuss it, because we did the interviews via Zoom, so we could send them the recording links, because neither Judy nor Chris Dustin, who is the new chair of Inland Wetlands, were available to sit in on the actual live interviews.
Wait, George isn't the chair?
They, on Tuesday, they had their election of officers, and I believe George opted not to run again. So Chris Dustin, who is the newest member of the commission, is their new chair.
Hmm.
I haven't interacted with him too much, but he seems like a really bright, reasonable guy, and we've had a little email back and forth since these
Oh, that's
interviews now.
interesting.
He seems pretty good.
Yeah, well, you said he's new, so. Well, George did a good job running his meetings.
He did run a tight meeting.
And you could do Zoom well, which is very important when your meetings are only on Zoom. So that was good.
Yep, so that's where we are with that. Our loose game plan is to have somebody hired by the end of this month. I see no reason why we can't stick to that schedule at this point, but who knows what'll come up.
Any other member comments? And I guess we can adjourn this meeting at 10:04.
bye, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, thanks for coming.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya.